This is part 2 of Lecture 6, and in it I will be covering Incident Management Teams, or IMTs, and the Department of Homeland Security. Historically, Incident Management Teams, IMTs, were used exclusively for fighting wildland fires. The model was formed in the 1970s to deal with large fires that crossed jurisdictional boundaries and that came with huge price tags. Like many of the principles we have already discussed, it was an effort to coordinate a response to wildland fires in a way that was as effective and efficient as possible. The IMT model of fighting wildland fires is still in practice today. And today, the IMT concept has been expanded to include all hazards. As its name suggests, an all hazards incident management team's mission is carried into numerous environments, whether natural disaster, man-made crises, or even in conjunction with pre-planned events. IMTs are groups of professionals that are trained in NIMS and ICS to manage a complex incident. What is unique to the IMT setup is that it is in place specifically to manage an incident. If you were to watch the inner workings of an IMT in action, you would not think of it was really much different than an EOC. In fact, here is a diagram of the organizational chart for an IMT. Does it look familiar? I hope so. It's made of the same command and general staff that any other incident that utilizes the incident command system. The unique portion of the IMT application is that what you see here is pretty much the sum total of the IMT. These experts are invited to an incident where they assist with the management of the solution by applying the framework found in the NIMS and ICS systems. The team itself does not provide firefighters or police officers or other line-level staff. When you see the pictures of the wildland fires with all of the hotshot crews digging line and watering trees, they are part of the solution for sure, but they are not a formal part of the IMT. IMTs are pre-established groups of people from different disciplines that are experts in their field and in NIMS. When their team is requested, they come as a package, even though they may work individually as a full-time employee for different agencies. When an IMT incident commander gets a call, he or she notifies the rest of the management team and they begin to order resources. Within 24 to 48 hours, a small city may emerge in the middle of the forest called a base camp. The base camp will have an area for all of the crews and management staff to sleep. The team has contracts with vendors that can provide a full-blown kitchen, complete with staff that is making food on site to feed everyone that is staying at the camp. Many incidents require some form of air support. In such cases, they create a makeshift airport in the wilderness, complete with a mobile air traffic control tower. The base camp is where the IMT would also conduct their regular briefings as well. Technically, there are 5 types of IMTs. In other words, they are qualified to manage different sizes of incidents, with Type 1 being the largest. To clarify, it does not mean a Type 1 team itself is larger, only that that team is qualified to handle larger scale and more complex incidents. For instance, I'm confident that the teams that assisted after the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina and 9/11 were certainly Type 1 teams. While there are technically 5 levels of teams, no one really refers to anything as an IMT that's lower than a 3. 4s and 5s are events that are currently being handled by emergency staff on a routine basis. Type 1 and 2 teams are flown around the nation to manage large incidents. Type 3 teams are frequently created at the state and local level. I mentioned in my introduction that I serve as an incident commander for a local Type 3 team. My team is made up of personnel from across the Valley of the Sun. As an example, a Type 3 team was used to help manage the Pat Tillman Run in Tempe, a fundraiser that involves about 28,000 participants. And in another example, after a homicide, the team was used to assist a local police department with a body recovery mission. In Missouri, several Type 3 teams were used throughout the state after the Joplin tornadoes. IMTs are helpful in complex and/or prolonged incidents. They provide management assistance for the primary agency. They do that by providing structure, by providing a framework for operations, planning, logistics, and finance administration. In other words, the C&G positions. What they do not do is they do not provide line-level personnel. A request for an IMT is not a request for a bunch more bodies. When an IMT assists, they do not take over the incident. At the Type 1 and 2 level, there are formal documents that have to be signed for an incident commander of an IMT to be allowed to make decisions. At the Type 3 level, it is normal that the original agency remains in command while the management team helps that locality plan for the future. So here's the main point. When there's a really big problem, our habit is to throw more resources at it. More cops, more firefighters, more. However, if it is complex and long-lasting, that same pool of resources gets exhausted quickly. At some point, the original agency needs to slow down and think about how the event needs to be managed over time. It is unhealthy and counterproductive to remain in an initial attack mode for an extended period of time. First responders are very good at the onset of a crisis, but long-term planning of an emergency is more effectively handled by an incident management team. All right, the final few slides here will cover the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, or DHS. DHS is a cabinet-level position. Most of you probably realize that it was created in response to the events of 9/11, and the first secretary was former governor of Pennsylvania, Tom Ridge, the author of this week's reading assignment. It was formed in 2002, and it is currently over the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, so what's referred to as ICE. Used to be INS, but they call it ICE now. It's over FEMA, it's over the U.S. Secret Service, you may not have known that, and it is over the U.S. Coast Guard. And here is their actual organizational chart. And of course, you do not need to know every piece of the puzzle here, but it's important to understand that DHS is responsible to prepare for, prevent, and respond to domestic emergencies, and in particular, terrorism. DHS is considered to be the most significant federal government reorganization since the Cold War. In his book, The Test of Our Times, Tom Ridge writes about how he literally started in a moderately sized closet with a handful of people. And today, DHS has over 240,000 employees and an annual budget of nearly $61 billion.